Fear. It's a word we all know, a feeling we've all experienced. It's as old as humanity itself, a primal echo in our modern lives. Sometimes it roars, sometimes it whispers, but it's always there, isn't it? A silent companion on our journey. It doesn't discriminate. It touches every heart, every dream, every ambition we hold dear. No one gets a free pass from its presence. We carry it with us, often unknowingly. This shadow doesn't just appear in moments of grand crisis. Oh no, it's much more subtle than that. It weaves itself into the fabric of our daily existence. Think about it, the slight hesitation before you raise your hand in a meeting, the pause before you hit send on that vulnerable email, the gnawing doubt that creeps in when you consider a new path, a new project, a new way of being. Fear often resides in these small, quiet corners of our choices, the unspoken word, the untaken step, the unstarted dream. And what happens when this fear goes unacknowledged, when it operates in the dark? It silently begins to sculpt our lives. It draws lines, creates boundaries, builds invisible fences around our most cherished aspirations. We might believe we are making logical, rational decisions. We tell ourselves we are being careful. But often, deep down, fear is the unseen architect. It gently, persistently steers us away from the edges of our comfort zones, away from the very experiences that promise growth. It keeps us tethered to the familiar, even when the familiar feels small. So this exploration we're embarking on, it's not about trying to banish fear. That's a battle we'll never win. Because fear, in some forms, is vital. It keeps us safe. But this is about understanding its other side, its more insidious nature. It's about recognizing its subtle power over our potential. It's about learning to see it clearly, to call it by its name. This journey is about shining a bright light on this silent killer of our brightest possibilities, so we can begin to reclaim the space it has occupied. Fear is a true master of disguise, an artful dodger. It rarely marches in, announcing its presence with a drum roll. Hello, I am fear. Prepare to be immobilized. That would be too obvious, wouldn't it? Too easy to identify and confront. Instead, it's cunning, it's slippery. It prefers to operate undercover, veiled in more acceptable, even commendable personas. It slips into our thoughts wearing clever costumes, trying to convince us it's an ally, not an adversary. It wants us to believe it's looking out for us. One of its favorite disguises is that of logic or prudence. Fear will whisper, "Now let's be sensible about this." Or, "You need to think this through much more carefully." It might even say, "Don't be reckless, consider all the downsides." It positions itself as the voice of mature reason, the wise counsel protecting you from harm. It tells you that you are simply being cautious, making smart choices. But we must ask ourselves, is this true wisdom guiding us, or is it fear, cleverly dressed in a tweed jacket with elbow patches, pretending to be our sagacious mentor? Then there's the heavy cloak of responsibility. This one is particularly effective. Fear says, "You have a family to consider," or "You can't jeopardize your security, your reputation. Think of your duties, your many obligations." This mask feels noble, doesn't it? It suggests that stepping back from a dream, from a risk, is an act of profound selflessness. It convinces us that we are doing the right thing by putting others first. But what if true responsibility also includes nurturing our own God-given talents? What if it includes showing up as our fullest selves? And let's not forget the classic "maybe later" or "it's just not the right time" routine. Procrastination's dearest friend. Fear expertly uses this tactic to delay our aspirations indefinitely. It murmurs, "The conditions aren't perfect yet," or "You just need a little more experience, a little more research, a little more something." It encourages us to wait for that mythical perfect moment. But here's the truth. The perfect moment rarely, if ever, arrives gift-wrapped at our doorstep. This endless postponement is one of fear's most potent strategies for keeping our true potential under lock and key. At the very core of fear's deceptive arsenal lies its most powerful, most insidious whisper. "You're not ready." Such a simple phrase. Yet it lands with devastating impact. It bypasses our logic and strikes directly at our sense of self-worth, our confidence. This single sentence plants a tiny seed of doubt, a seed that, if left untended, can quickly grow into a dense, impenetrable forest of insecurity. It makes us question every skill we've honed, every lesson we've learned. It makes us feel utterly, hopelessly underprepared for the callings of our lives. This whisper doesn't just appear once, it's a relentless, subtle erosion of our inner strength. Imagine water dripping steadily onto a stone. Each repetition of "you're not ready" chips away at our resolve. It makes the starting line of any new endeavor seem impossibly distant. Our perceived flaws loom large, casting long shadows over our strengths, which seem to shrink in comparison. Slowly, insidiously, we begin to internalize this critical voice. We start to believe its narrative until it becomes an undeniable truth in our own minds, a self-imposed limitation. The inevitable outcome of this internal dialogue: inaction, stagnation. We find ourselves circling our dreams, our goals, but never truly taking the plunge. The brilliant idea remains just an idea. The manuscript stays unfinished. The business plan gathers dust. Our vast potential lies dormant, slowly withering like an unwatered plant. We remain stuck in familiar, predictable patterns, even when those patterns bring us no joy, no fulfillment. This paralysis isn't born from a lack of ability. It's the direct result of fear's successful campaign against our courageous spirit. But what if this pervasive feeling of not ready is simply an illusion, a carefully constructed mirage? What if readiness isn't some magical state we must achieve before we begin, but rather the natural consequence of beginning? Think about it. Has anyone ever felt completely, 100% ready for something truly new, truly significant, truly challenging? That feeling of slight unpreparedness, that flutter of nerves is often a clear sign. A sign that you are standing on the precipice of something important. Something that will stretch you, grow you, and ultimately transform you. For so long we've been conditioned to view fear in a particular light, as a flashing red warning sign, an undeniable signal to stop, to retreat, to protect ourselves from impending danger. And sometimes it is precisely that. It's the instinct that pulls us back from a physical threat. But what if this common interpretation is only part of the story? What if fear isn't solely a barrier designed to keep us in check? Could it be that fear also holds a deeper, more profound message for us? Perhaps it's more than just an obstacle, perhaps it's a guide. Consider this: often the things that evoke the strongest fear within us are intimately connected to our most profound desires, our highest aspirations, the dreams we barely dare to speak aloud. The path towards meaningful achievement and personal evolution is rarely a comfortable stroll in the park. It is almost always paved with elements of uncertainty, vulnerability, and yes, fear. In this context, fear can act as a compass, a true north, pointing directly towards the experiences, the challenges, the endeavors that will demand our growth and test our mettle. So, when that familiar sensation of fear begins to stir within you, what if it's not an imperative to halt your progress? What if instead it's a subtle yet powerful invitation to begin, an invitation to step boldly into the arena of your life, to engage directly with the very thing that makes your heart beat a little faster? Perhaps fear isn't the dragon guarding the treasure, but the gatekeeper standing before the path to the treasure. A signal that you are on the verge of something truly transformative, something that matters deeply to your soul's expansion. This shift in perspective is not just helpful, it's absolutely crucial for unlocking our potential. The goal isn't to become fearless. That's an unrealistic, even undesirable aim. The true aim is to cultivate courage. And courage, as we know, isn't the absence of fear. It's the conscious decision to act despite the presence of fear. It's about acknowledging the fear, feeling its full intensity, and then taking that next small, brave step anyway. This is the space where potential is unleashed. This is the moment where life cracks open, revealing its boundless possibilities. Fear is a true chameleon, a master of disguise. It rarely storms into your mind waving a red flag. That would be too obvious, too easy to dismiss. Instead, it creeps in softly. It whispers. It uses clever words and subtle suggestions. It wants you to believe it's your ally, your wise inner counsel. It aims to sound like the most sensible voice in the room, the one looking out for your best interests. Its deception is its greatest strength. One of its most convincing costumes is prudence, or being logical. Fear absolutely adores sounding intelligent. It will meticulously craft its arguments, wrapping them in layers of apparent reason. It presents itself as the epitome of careful thought, as the voice of mature consideration, guiding you away from supposed folly. It positions itself as your most trusted advisor, the one who helps you avoid mistakes. It wants you to see its warnings not as limitations, but as essential safeguards. You'll hear its cautious murmurs in your quiet moments. Phrases like, "Now let's be entirely realistic about this." Or perhaps, "Have you truly deeply considered all the potential downsides?" It might suggest, "It's always wiser to wait for more certainty," or, "Don't rush headlong into anything. Patience is a virtue." These statements resonate with an air of responsibility. They sound so very thoughtful, so profoundly safe, so undeniably correct. But we must pause and ask a crucial question. Is this genuine wisdom speaking, or is it fear, artfully concealed behind a very persuasive mask? Is this true insight offering genuine protection from harm, or is it a subtle, invisible chain, preventing you from taking even calculated risks, from exploring new horizons? We must cultivate the habit of looking closer, of challenging these sensible voices that echo within, to discern their true origin. Another incredibly potent disguise that fear often dons is that of responsibility. This particular costume is exceptionally tricky. It appeals directly to our noblest instincts, to our innate desire to care for those we love, to our commitment to do the right thing by others. Fear cleverly uses our most cherished obligations as leverage against our aspirations. It subtly twists the concept of duty into a powerful argument for maintaining the status quo, for choosing inaction over ambition. In these moments, fear whispers insidiously, "But think of your family, your children." Or it might press, "What about your mortgage, your financial security? You can't possibly risk your stable job for a mere dream. Your reputation, carefully built, could be on the line." These are weighty considerations, are they not? They feel immensely important. They tap directly into our deepest sense of obligation and care. This inherent emotional gravity makes them incredibly difficult to ignore or argue against. This mask of responsibility feels particularly virtuous. It almost convinces us that stepping back from a personal dream, from a significant risk, is an act of profound sacrifice. A selfless choice made for the greater good of those who depend on us. We begin to persuade ourselves that we are acting with true maturity, that we are prioritizing our lives correctly by putting the needs of others unequivocally first, that this is the hallmark of a good, caring person. Yet what if our definition of responsibility needs to expand? What if true responsibility also encompasses the diligent stewardship of our own growth, our unique talents? What if it means courageously using the gifts we have been uniquely blessed with? Is it genuinely responsible to allow our precious potential to silently wither and fade away? Or is this fear, elegantly dressed in the noble and heavy attire of duty, subtly keeping us confined, keeping us small? We must dare to pose these uncomfortable, searching questions. The timeless, ever-reliable excuse, "It's just not the right time." Or its equally persuasive twin, perhaps later when things settle down. Fear is an undisputed expert at playing the waiting game. It absolutely thrives on the art of postponement. It understands a fundamental human truth, later all too frequently morphs into never. This strategy is one of fear's most subtle yet profoundly effective traps for ensnaring our ambitions and keeping them dormant. It keeps us hoping for a future that never quite arrives. It will patiently, persistently tell you that the current conditions are far from perfect. You need to save more money before you even consider that. You clearly require more experience, more qualifications. Wait until the children are a little older, more independent. Wait until the economic market shows signs of improvement. There is invariably a seemingly valid reason why this very moment is not quite good enough. Always another perceived obstacle, always a justification for further delay. This pattern of indefinite postponement is one of fear's most cherished and frequently used tools. It ensures that our dreams remain safely locked away, kept on a high shelf, slowly gathering layers of dust and neglect. The mythical perfect moment, that ideal confluence of circumstances we wait for, never actually materializes. Because, in truth, it doesn't really exist. It is a shimmering mirage on the horizon, a clever, distracting illusion meticulously created and maintained by fear itself. Waiting for every single star to align perfectly is often just fear in disguise. It's the fear of actually starting, the fear of stepping into the vast unknown, the fear of the inevitable messiness and uncertainty that comes with any new beginning. We forget that action itself creates momentum. Action clarifies the path. Waiting, conversely, only breeds more waiting, more inertia. We must learn to recognize this common ruse for precisely what it is, a clever, paralyzing distraction from our true calling. So, We have begun to examine fear's extensive wardrobe. We see the convincing mask of prudence. We feel the weight of the solemn cloak of responsibility. We recognize the tempting illusion of it's not the right time. These are its most trusted, most effective disguises. These are its sophisticated ways of stealthily infiltrating our thoughts. These are its primary methods for subtly controlling our actions. Or more accurately, for ensuring our continued inactions, keeping our potential untapped. The very first, most crucial step towards true freedom is clear recognition. We must diligently learn to pause, to intentionally question these eminently sensible thoughts when they arise. When a seemingly logical reason not to act presents itself, we need to ask, is this genuine wisdom guiding me? Or is it fear, eloquently speaking its lines? Is this necessary caution, or is it a well-crafted excuse? This process of internal inquiry, of deep self-interrogation, is absolutely vital for our journey forward. Developing this keen self-awareness is paramount. It's akin to meticulously tuning a delicate musical instrument. We are learning to distinguish the true, clear note of our intuition from the discordant, flat note of fear. This discrimination doesn't happen overnight. It requires consistent practice. It demands unflinching honesty with ourselves. It takes a measure of courage just to confront what we might discover in those hidden corners of our minds. But this skill is so profoundly essential for growth. When we begin to consistently see through fear's various disguises, something truly powerful and transformative occurs. The imposter starts to lose its formidable grip on us. We begin to reclaim our personal agency. We rediscover our inherent power to choose our responses, our paths. This act of unmasking is not about attempting to eliminate fear entirely. That is an unrealistic goal. It's about understanding its tactics. And then, consciously choosing to move forward anyway, towards the magnificent unfolding of our true potential. We talk a lot about the fear of failure. It's a familiar foe. Its chilling whispers are well documented in our minds. But what about its lesser-known twin, the fear of success? This might sound strange, even counterintuitive. Why would anyone fear the very thing they strive for? The accolades, the achievements, the recognition? Yet this fear is real. It is potent. And it can be just as immobilizing as its more famous counterpart. It lurks in the shadows of our ambitions. Think about it for a moment. Success isn't just a pleasant destination, it's a transformation. It brings with it a whole new landscape of expectations. Suddenly there's a spotlight, there's increased visibility, there are new responsibilities that you didn't have before. The quiet comfort of anonymity begins to fade. You are no longer just dreaming, you are living out parts of that dream. And that public reality can feel incredibly daunting. It demands a different version of you. The question then becomes, what if I can't handle it? What if the success is too much? What if I reach the peak, only to find I am not equipped for the altitude? This fear whispers doubts about our capacity to sustain what we achieve. Will people expect more from me than I can deliver? Will this new level become a new cage, trapping me in a cycle of constant performance? These anxieties can quietly sabotage our efforts, pulling us back from the brink of our own triumphs. This hidden dread, the fear of actually succeeding, can be profoundly paralyzing. It often masquerades as humility, or perhaps as a sensible desire to avoid unnecessary stress. But, beneath the surface, it's a powerful force. It ensures we play small. It keeps us from fully stepping into the light of our capabilities. It's a silent killer of potential, just like the fear of failure. We must acknowledge its presence. We must understand its subtle workings if we are to overcome its hold on us. Success rarely arrives alone. It brings with it a heavy suitcase, filled with new pressures, filled with heightened scrutiny. When you achieve something notable, people naturally start to pay more attention. Your actions, your words, even your past choices, can be examined more closely. This constant gaze can feel intense, like living under a permanent spotlight. The freedom to make mistakes quietly, to learn in private, seems to diminish significantly. This new visibility can be overwhelming. This isn't just about external pressure. Success often triggers profound internal shifts as well. The person you were before the achievement might feel different from the person you are becoming. There's a fear of losing your old self, your authenticity. Will success change me in ways I don't like? Will I become disconnected from my roots, my values? Will the pursuit of more success lead me down a path where I no longer recognize myself? These are valid, deeply human concerns that weigh heavily on the mind. The fear of success also brings with it the imposter syndrome, amplified. Even when you have tangible proof of your abilities, a nagging voice might whisper, "Do I truly deserve this? Am I good enough to stay here? What if they find out I'm not as capable as they think?" This feeling of being a fraud, despite evidence to the contrary, can be incredibly isolating. It can prevent you from truly owning your accomplishments, from enjoying the fruits of your hard-earned labor. It steals the joy from the victory, and so, the weight of this anticipated crown can feel too heavy to bear. The perceived demands of success, the constant performance, the risk of losing oneself, the fear of being exposed as inadequate, can be terrifying. This isn't about avoiding hard work. It's about the psychological burden that we imagine success will place upon us. It's a fear that we might buckle under that imagined weight. A fear that the cost of success is simply too high for our peace of mind. The shifting landscape. Fear of change and isolation. Success inevitably brings change. And change, even positive change, can be deeply unsettling. It disrupts our familiar routines. It alters our relationships. It can even reshape our sense of identity. We are creatures of habit, often finding comfort in predictability. The thought of stepping into a new, unknown version of our lives can be frightening. What if this new life, the successful life, isn't what I imagined? What if I preferred the way things were before? This anxiety is a powerful deterrent. One of the most poignant fears associated with success is the fear of relational shifts. What if my achievements create distance between me and my loved ones, my friends, my community? Will they still see me as the same person? Will they resent my growth? There's a deep-seated human need for belonging, a fear that success might lead to isolation, that we might outgrow people or that they might no longer understand us or relate to our new experiences. This can make us unconsciously hold ourselves back. The fear of envy or judgment from others is also a significant factor. No one wants to be the target of negativity. The thought that our success might make others feel inadequate, or that it might invite criticism or jealousy, can be incredibly uncomfortable. This discomfort can lead to a strange form of self-sabotage. We might downplay our achievements. We might shrink ourselves to make others feel more comfortable, all to avoid the potential social awkwardness or pain that can arise. This potential for isolation, for a changed social landscape, is a heavy burden. The summit of achievement can sometimes feel like a lonely place. If we believe that success means leaving behind the warmth of our connections or inviting difficult social dynamics, then the allure of that success diminishes greatly. The subconscious mind might then work to protect us from this perceived threat. It might steer us away from the very opportunities that could lead to such a lonely victory, keeping us safely within the familiar fold. Our deepest fear, embracing our own brilliant power. There is a profound quote by Marianne Williamson that cuts to the heart of this matter. She says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure." This statement turns our usual understanding of fear on its head. It suggests that we are not just afraid of our weaknesses. We are, perhaps even more so, terrified of our own immense strength, our own boundless potential, our own brilliant, dazzling light. What does it mean to be powerful beyond measure? It means recognizing the true extent of our capabilities, the unique gifts we carry, the impact we are capable of making on the world. It's about the light within us, the spark of divinity, the creative force that yearns for expression. This power isn't about dominance over others, it's about self-mastery, it's about stepping into the fullest version of ourselves. It's about having the courage to shine brightly without apology. So why would we fear this inherent power? Because power comes with responsibility, visibility, the potential for significant impact. If we truly embrace our light, we can no longer play small. We can no longer hide in the shadows. We are called to show up differently, to lead, to inspire, to make a difference. This can feel like an enormous burden, a monumental task. And so, we shy away. We dim our own light, afraid of its intensity and what it might demand of us. Yet it is this very light that the world needs. It is this very power that allows us to overcome challenges, to create beauty, to serve others. The fear of success in this light becomes the fear of our own magnificence, the fear of living up to our sacred potential. The journey then is not about extinguishing this fear. It's about acknowledging it, and then choosing with courage to step into that power anyway, to let our light shine, not just for ourselves but for everyone. A story for the ages, the master's entrustment. There is a story, a parable told by Jesus himself. It resonates through the centuries, it speaks directly to the heart of our potential, and it speaks to the corrosive power of fear. It is found in the Gospel of Matthew. It's the parable of the talents. Imagine a wealthy man preparing for a long journey. Before he departs, he calls his trusted servants. He decides to entrust them with significant portions of his wealth, not as a gift to be squandered, but as an investment to be managed wisely. This act of entrustment is deeply symbolic. The talents, originally a measure of silver or gold, represent more than just money here. They symbolize the unique gifts, the abilities, the opportunities, and the very potential that each of us receives in life. Think of your own innate skills, your passions, the dreams that stir within your heart, the resources available to you. These are your talents. And the master in this story represents a higher source, a divine giver who bestows these precious assets with an implicit expectation of stewardship. The master didn't give each servant the same amount. One received 5 talents, another received 2, and a third received 1. The scripture tells us he gave to each according to his ability. This isn't about favoritism, it's not a judgment of inherent worth. Rather, it acknowledges that we all have different capacities, different starting points, different sets of circumstances. The crucial point is not the quantity received, but the responsibility that comes with whatever has been placed into our hands. The value lies in the trust. The master's departure signifies a period of freedom, a time for the servants to act independently, to make their own choices. He didn't provide a detailed instruction manual, he offered an opportunity. The underlying expectation was clear. These talents were not meant to be merely preserved in their original state. They were meant to be engaged with, to be put to work, to grow, to multiply, to flourish. The essence of the entrustment was a call to active, fruitful participation, not passive safekeeping. The diligent stewards, embracing the call to multiply. Now let us turn our attention to the first 2 servants, the ones entrusted with 5 talents and 2 talents respectively. Their response to the master's charge is immediate. It is decisive. The scripture paints a clear picture. They went at once and put his money to work. There was no hesitation recorded, no lengthy deliberation fueled by doubt or anxiety. They recognized the opportunity presented to them, and they acted upon it with diligence and a proactive spirit. They understood the assignment. Their actions bore significant fruit. The servant who had received 5 talents invested them wisely. He worked with what he had been given, and through his efforts, he gained 5 more. He doubled his master's investment. Similarly, the servant who received 2 talents also put them to good use. He too engaged in productive activity, and he also gained 2 more. He too doubled what had been entrusted to him. Their success was a direct result of their willingness to engage, to take calculated risks. What can we learn from their approach? They did not seem to view the talents as a heavy burden, or as a source of potential blame if things went wrong. Instead, they appeared to see them as a chance to demonstrate their faithfulness, their capability, their commitment to their master's interests. They embraced the responsibility with a sense of purpose. Their focus was on growth, on multiplication, on making the most of what they had been given. They chose action over apprehension. Their story is a testament to the power of a positive, proactive mindset. They didn't bury their resources out of fear of loss, they invested them with the hope of gain. This is a crucial distinction. It highlights a fundamental choice we all face when presented with opportunities. Do we shrink back, worried about potential failure? Or do we step forward, focused on the possibility of growth and achievement? These 2 servants chose the latter, and their efforts were richly rewarded. The shadow of apprehension, the 1 talent servant's choice. Then we come to the 3rd servant, the one who had received a single talent. His story takes a dramatically different turn. His response stands in stark contrast to the diligent efforts of his colleagues. He did not rush out to invest his master's money. He did not seek ways to make it grow. Instead, he chose a path of extreme caution. A path dictated not by wisdom, but by a profound and paralyzing emotion. He allowed fear to become his primary advisor, his guiding principle in this crucial matter. When the master eventually returned and called for an accounting, this servant stepped forward. He had his explanation ready. He said, "Master, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed." This was his perception of the master, a perception colored by intimidation, a perception that emphasized severity rather than opportunity. This fearful view became the justification for his subsequent actions, or rather his profound lack of action. Based on this perception, he continued his explanation. "So I was afraid." That single potent phrase, "I was afraid," lies at the very heart of his failure. It is the pivotal point upon which his entire story turns. And what was the direct consequence of this fear? He confessed, "I went and hid your talent in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you." He dug a hole, he buried the potential, he chose preservation through complete immobilization, believing this was the safest course. His fear led him to a terrible misjudgment. He believed that by doing nothing, he could avoid any possibility of blame or loss. He thought returning the talent in its original untouched state would be acceptable. He misunderstood fundamentally the nature of the trust placed in him. The master wasn't looking for mere preservation, he was looking for growth, for engagement, for a return on his investment. The servant's fear blinded him to this essential truth. It caused him to shrink from the responsibility he was given. The anatomy of an excuse when fear paralyzes potential. Let's delve deeper into the one-talent servant's fear. He claimed his inaction stemmed from knowing his master was a hard man. Was this an accurate assessment? Or was it a convenient excuse? A way to rationalize his own deep-seated anxieties? Often when fear takes hold, we tend to project our insecurities onto external factors. We might blame the circumstances. We might point to the perceived harshness of others. We might construct elaborate narratives to justify our paralysis. The servant's excuse about the master harvesting where he has not sown is particularly telling. It paints the master as unfair, as demanding, as someone to be feared rather than respected and served diligently. This characterization effectively absolved the servant in his own mind of the responsibility to take initiative. If the master is unreasonable, then why risk anything? Why put forth effort that might not be appreciated or might even be punished if it goes awry? This thinking is a hallmark of fear-based decision-making. This ancient story mirrors our modern tendencies with uncomfortable accuracy. How often do we allow our perception of a challenge or the person who issued it to dictate our response? We might say, "The market is too tough," or "My boss is too demanding," or "I don't have the right connections." These statements, while potentially containing elements of truth, can also serve as sophisticated disguises for our underlying fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of stepping outside our carefully constructed comfort zones. The servant chose what he perceived as the safety of burying the talent. He avoided the risk inherent in investment, he avoided the possibility of loss, but in doing so, he also completely forfeited the possibility of gain, of growth, of multiplication. This is the tragic trade-off that fear often demands. It promises a false sense of security at the immense cost of our unrealized potential. The talent, hidden in the ground, was safe, yes, but it was also stagnant, useless, and ultimately a symbol of profound neglect. The parable moves towards its inevitable conclusion, the master's return. This is the moment of accountability, the time when each servant must present the outcome of their stewardship. The first two servants, who had diligently worked and multiplied their talents, approached the master with confidence. They presented their increased assets, and the master's response to each of them was filled with warmth and high praise. "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things, I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." Their faithfulness was rewarded not just with affirmation, but with increased responsibility and deeper fellowship with the master. Their actions demonstrated their trustworthiness. Their willingness to engage with what they were given led to abundance. Their story illustrates a divine principle. To those who use well what they have, more will be given. Their courage to act, to invest, to risk, was met with joy and elevation. They understood the spirit of the entrustment and lived up to it fully. Their outcome was one of celebration and shared success. Then came the turn of the servant who had buried his talent. He returned the single talent, untouched, perhaps even a little tarnished from its time in the earth. His excuse, born of fear, was offered. But the master's response was not one of understanding or leniency. Instead, it was a stern and powerful rebuke. "You wicked, lazy servant." The master saw through the excuse. He identified the root cause not as prudent caution, but as a dereliction of duty stemming from fear and sloth. The most striking aspect of the master's condemnation is its focus. The servant wasn't rebuked for trying and failing. He wasn't condemned for making a poor investment that resulted in loss. He was rebuked for his utter inaction, for doing nothing with what he had been given. His sin was one of omission, not commission. The master even pointed out that the servant could have at least put the money with bankers to earn interest. But his fear was so paralyzing that even this minimal effort was beyond him. He chose complete stagnation. This ancient parable is not just a historical account or a theological lesson confined to the pages of Scripture. It echoes with profound relevance in our lives today. Each of us has been given talents. Our unique abilities, our passions, our dreams, the opportunities that cross our paths, these are our treasures. They are the divine investments placed into our care. And the fundamental question the parable poses to us remains: what are we doing with what we have been given? Are we actively multiplying, or are we passively burying? Fear, in its many disguises, is often the primary reason we choose to bury our potential. The fear of failure whispers that it's better not to try than to risk falling short. The fear of success murmurs anxieties about new pressures and unwanted changes. The fear of judgment from others makes us shrink back from the spotlight. And so, like the third servant, we might dig a hole. We might hide our light. We might allow our most precious gifts to lie dormant, unused, and undeveloped within us. The tragedy of a life lived in the safety of inaction is the immense, irretrievable loss of unfulfilled potential. It's the songs unsung, the books unwritten, the ideas unexplored, the businesses unlaunched, the healing unoffered. When we allow fear to dictate our choices, we are, in essence, returning our talent to the master with the sad confession, "I was too afraid to use what you gave me." This is not the legacy any of us truly desire to leave. It is a path of regret. Therefore, the parable issues a timeless, urgent call to us. It is a call to courageously excavate our buried talents, to dust them off, to bring them into the light of day. It encourages us to be motivated by trust in the giver, and by the exciting possibility of growth, rather than being paralyzed by fear. We are invited to be like the faithful servants, to engage actively with our gifts, to invest our energies, to risk stepping out, because it is in the using, the sharing, the multiplying, that true fulfillment and divine commendation are found. It's not just poetry or philosophy that tells us about fear's power. Modern science powerfully echoes these ancient understandings. Deep within the intricate landscape of our brains, there are specific structures. These structures are designed to process and react to perceived threats. Neuroscience has illuminated these pathways. It shows us precisely how fear takes hold. It reveals the biological underpinnings of this universal human experience. Understanding this can be incredibly empowering. It helps us see fear not as some vague mystical force but as a tangible physiological process that we can begin to navigate with greater awareness. At the very heart of this intricate fear circuitry lies a small, almond-shaped cluster of neurons. It's called the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's highly sensitive smoke detector, or perhaps a vigilant little watchman. It's nestled deep within the temporal lobes, part of the limbic system. This system is often referred to as the emotional brain. The amygdala's primary job is to rapidly scan incoming sensory information. It's constantly on the lookout for any signs of danger, any potential threat to your well-being. It works incredibly fast, often before your conscious mind even has a chance to process what's happening. This remarkable little structure receives input from all your senses. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you touch, and what you taste. It sifts through this constant stream of data. It's looking for patterns associated with past dangers or inherent threats. When it detects something it deems alarming, it springs into action. It doesn't wait for a full, detailed analysis from the more logical parts of your brain. Its motto is better safe than sorry. This rapid response system was crucial for the survival of our ancestors, helping them react quickly to immediate physical dangers in their environment. When we say the amygdala lights up, we're describing a very real biological event. It means there's a surge of neuronal activity, a cascade of electrochemical signals. Neurotransmitters are released and communication with other brain regions intensifies dramatically. This heightened activity is the brain's way of sounding the alarm. It's like a red alert flashing within your neural command center. This activation is the critical first step. It's the trigger that sets off a whole chain reaction throughout your body, preparing you to face the perceived danger. It's a primal, powerful, and instantaneous response. Survival mode engaged, fight, flight, or freeze. Once the amygdala sounds that internal alarm, your brain doesn't leisurely consider its options. It immediately shifts into survival mode. This is an automatic, deeply ingrained response. It's designed to maximize your chances of staying alive in the face of perceived danger. Your body's resources are rapidly mobilized. Your physiological state undergoes a dramatic transformation. Non-essential functions are temporarily put on hold. All energy is redirected towards dealing with the imminent threat. This is not a conscious choice, it's a deeply programmed reflex, honed over millennia of evolution designed to protect you. The fight response prepares you to confront the danger head-on. Your heart rate accelerates, pumping more oxygenated blood to your muscles. Your breathing becomes faster and shallower, increasing oxygen intake. Adrenaline and cortisol, the stress hormones, flood your system. These hormones sharpen your senses, increase your strength, and reduce your perception of pain. You might feel a surge of aggressive energy, a powerful urge to stand your ground, to attack the source of the threat. This is your body arming itself for battle, ready to engage. Alternatively, your brain might trigger the flight response. This prepares you to escape the danger as quickly as possible. Many of the physiological changes are similar to the fight response. The increased heart rate and adrenaline still occur, but the behavioral impulse is different. Instead of confronting the threat, every fiber of your being screams, "Run!" Your muscles are primed for rapid movement, your focus narrows, concentrating only on the escape route. This instinct is about creating distance between you and the perceived harm. It's about seeking safety through swift evasion. And then there's the freeze response. This one can sometimes feel less intuitive, but it's equally vital as a survival strategy. In this state, you might find yourself completely immobilized, unable to move, unable to speak. It's like being a deer caught in headlights. This response can be useful in situations where fighting or fleeing might attract more attention from a predator, or when the threat is so overwhelming that action seems futile. Freezing can also give the brain a moment to assess the situation further before committing to fight or flight. It's a state of hypervigilance, a tense pause before potential action. Ancient wiring in a modern world, the lion and the laptop. It is absolutely crucial to remember that this sophisticated survival system, the amygdala's alarm and the subsequent fight, flight, or freeze response, evolved in a very different world. A world filled with immediate, life-threatening physical dangers. Think saber-toothed tigers, hostile tribes, treacherous cliffs. Our ancestors needed this rapid, automatic response to stay alive. Their brains were perfectly wired to detect and react to these tangible perils. This ancient wiring is still very much a part of our neurobiology today. It's a legacy passed down through countless generations. Now here's the fascinating and often frustrating kicker. Your brain, with its ancient survival mechanisms, doesn't always distinguish between a genuine physical threat, like a lion chasing you, and a modern psychological threat, like sending that crucial resume, or speaking in front of a large crowd, or facing potential rejection. The perceived threat of social judgment, failure, or embarrassment can trigger the very same alarm bells in your amygdala, the same cascade of physiological responses. It's a profound mismatch. Why does this happen? Because your brain is fundamentally designed to protect you, and it interprets signals of potential harm, whether physical or emotional, in a similar way. The fear of looking foolish in a meeting might not kill you like a lion could, but to your amygdala, the potential for social exclusion or a blow to your self-esteem can register as a significant danger. This is because, for our ancestors, social connection and status were often directly linked to survival. Being cast out from the group could indeed be a death sentence. So, we find ourselves navigating the complexities of the 21st century, with a brain that's still, in many ways, operating on a prehistoric rulebook. This creates an internal landscape where sending an important email can feel as terrifying as confronting a wild beast. The pounding heart, the sweaty palms, the racing thoughts. These are not signs that you are weak. They are signs that your ancient survival system has been activated by a modern stressor. Understanding this mismatch is the first step toward regaining control and perspective. When fear hijacks the helm, the impact on clarity and choice. When fear strikes, your brain's rational part, the prefrontal cortex, can be sidelined. Imagine the amygdala as a loud alarm, drowning out reason. Fear hijacks your mental ship, impairing clear thinking. Complex problem-solving diminishes and concentration falters. Your thinking narrows, focused solely on the threat. This isn't a lack of willpower, it's a physiological freeze. The potential for rejection or failure feels overwhelming. Fear can paralyze everyday choices crucial for growth. Each shutdown is a lost opportunity for progress. Fear doesn't just feel bad, it impairs wise action. Our ability to make clear, conscious choices aligned with our goals becomes compromised. The neurological brake on dreams. How fear stifles forward motion. Fear activates a neurological brake, halting forward momentum. Resources for creativity and aspirations are diverted to managing threats. Fear puts dreams on hold, suppressing higher-level cognitive capacities. We focus on avoiding pain, losing sight of potential joy. Repeated fear responses reinforce avoidance, creating ingrained patterns. This makes pursuing achievements increasingly difficult. Understanding fear's neurological process is empowering. Recognize when survival wiring is triggered by non-life-threatening situations. Awareness allows us to choose a different response. It empowers us to acknowledge fear without letting it dictate actions. Cultivate new neural pathways of courage, resilience, and purposeful action. The antidote in action: introducing courage repetitions. Fear's power is undeniable, but we are not defenseless. The antidote lies in consistent, deliberate action, courage repetitions. Think of it like training a muscle at the gym. Start with manageable efforts, building strength and resilience. Courage reps are found in small, daily decisions. The power lies in their frequency and intentionality. Each act of courage is a step towards retraining our nervous system. We show our brain we can face fear and grow. We expand our capacity for bravery, building a new default. This is how we cultivate a new way of being. Courage reps are about doing, moving, and choosing to act despite fear. Building your courage. Muscle: small steps, big shifts. Courage is a muscle that can be developed and strengthened. Each courage rep makes the muscle a little stronger. Small, consistent actions create new neural pathways. Acting despite fear teaches the brain the threat isn't catastrophic. New, empowering patterns form, expanding your fear threshold. Each small step into discomfort grows your comfort zone. What once felt terrifying becomes manageable. This expansion is where real freedom is found. Micro-actions, repeated consistently, lead to profound shifts. They build momentum and foster self-efficacy. Small steps create big, lasting transformation in your life. Your daily courage. Gym. Practical exercises for real life. Your daily life is your courage gym, with practice opportunities everywhere. Start with actions that feel a little stretchy, not overwhelming. Speak up when uncomfortable, share ideas, or ask questions. Send that avoided email, publish your work, or ask for help. Interpersonal courage includes apologizing, setting boundaries, and having difficult conversations. These acts build relational integrity and trust. Start small, with actions just outside your comfort zone. Tailor courage reps to your specific fears. Identify what makes your heart beat faster and take a tiny step towards it. Celebrate each small win. These practical exercises strengthen your courage muscle. Moving with fear, the true essence of courageous living. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's moving despite it. Fear signals something important is happening. The essence of courage is feeling fear and acting anyway. Shift focus from fear to commitment, values, and goals. Fear can be in the passenger seat, but it doesn't drive. Redefine your relationship with fear. See it as an indicator. Fear highlights the edge of your limits. Courage pushes that edge outward. Daily courage reps transform your relationship with fear. Each act builds confidence and resilience. Live a fuller, more expansive life by moving with fear. One courageous step at a time unlocks your potential. We have journeyed through fear's landscape, seeing it for what it is. Fear is a silent killer of potential, a master of disguise. Understanding fear is our first victory towards freedom. We explored the fear of success and its daunting glare. The parable of the talents warned against inaction. Our gifts are meant for growth, not hiding in anxiety. Science confirmed fear's biological roots in our brains. Fear is a human response, not a personal failing. Understanding this empowers us to navigate fear. We can choose to override fear with courage. Fear's reign can be challenged with deliberate action. This understanding is the key to unlocking our potential. So, what now? Fear doesn't vanish with knowledge. Fear is persistent, but we have the antidote: courageous action. Courage isn't about becoming fearless, it's about acting despite fear. This is where true power awakens. Courage is a choice. It's a practice cultivated day by day, often in small steps. Choose growth over the deceptive comfort of the familiar. Each act of courage reclaims your agency and direction. You are the architect of your response, the captain of your ship. Small steps build momentum, expanding your comfort zone. Acts of courage reshape your life's trajectory. Build a new reality with brave choices, one step at a time. This is the essence of empowerment and transformation. This journey of understanding fear is not just an intellectual exercise, it is an invitation, a direct personal challenge to you. Right now, in this moment, I want you to think, what is that one thing, that one dream, one goal, one conversation, that fear has held hostage in your life? Be specific. Name it. Write it down if you must. Acknowledge its presence. See its hold on you. This is your frontier, your personal edge of growth, the place where your courage is being called forth. Now, what is one small concrete action you can take? Something manageable, something doable. This week, not a giant leap that feels overwhelming, just one tiny step forward. Perhaps it's drafting that email, making that call, researching that course, saying that apology. Break down the mountain into a single pebble. What is the very next right thing? The smallest possible action that moves you forward. Identify it, commit to it, schedule it. Remember, the goal is not to kill the fear. Fear is stubborn. It doesn't leave easily on its own. Your task is to learn to move with it, to acknowledge its presence, its uncomfortable sensations, but not to give it the power to make your decisions. Fear can be in the passenger seat. It can even shout, but you are the one driving the car. This shift in perspective makes action feel more accessible. It makes the impossible feel possible. You can carry fear and still move forward. Imagine the feeling, the liberation, the empowerment. That comes from taking that one fear-facing step. Even a small act of courage ignites a spark of your own untapped potential. This single act can be the beginning, the catalyst for a profound and lasting shift. It can be the first step onto a new path, a path leading towards what you truly desire, towards the life you were meant to live. The power is in the action. Take it. This path of facing fear is not a one-time event. It is not a destination you arrive at, then rest. It is a lifelong journey, a continuous unfolding. Courage is a practice, a way of being in the world. There will always be new frontiers, new challenges, new opportunities to stretch, to grow, to choose bravery. This is the beautiful, dynamic dance of a life lived fully. Each new level will bring its own fears, and each time you will know how to respond. This journey is best walked with trusted companions, with faith in your own resilience, faith in your capacity to learn and adapt, faith perhaps in something larger than your fears, and with wisdom, the wisdom to discern fear's illusions, the wisdom to choose your battles, the wisdom to take small, sustainable steps. Faith and wisdom light the path. They steady your heart when fear whispers doubts. They remind you of who you truly are. Think of the incredible potential waiting to be unleashed, the dreams that are longing to take flight, the unique impact only you can make. When we consistently choose courage over comfort, when we practice our daily reps of bravery, we don't just transform our own lives, we become a beacon of possibility for others. We contribute our brightest gifts to a world in need. We live with purpose, with passion, with authenticity. This is the fruit of a courageous life. So embrace this journey. Step out from the shadow. Fear doesn't have to be the silent killer of your potential. You have the tools, you have the strength, you have the choice. You don't need to kill the fear, you just need to move with it, to walk through it with faith, wisdom, and courage. Your potential is vast, your light is needed. The world is waiting for what only you can bring. Start today. Take that step. You are more powerful than you know. You are ready now.